So one of the things the so-called progressives are doing now is they're using the Jasmine Crockett loss to James Talarico in Texas Senate race as a backdrop for this weird thing, this Latino versus black versus Latino internet war or something. And this is all goofy, right? So case in point, Jemele Hill, she put out some content surrounding it. So this is about Jasmine Crockett and Talarico, but it's really about the framing of the Democratic Party, not knowing which way is up.
As we break down about what was the reason Jasmine Crockett lost, already across social media, even though we don't have any exit numbers, we don't know this, but the war is on in terms of Black people, because that was really Jasmine Crockett's core base in Texas. You know, her Black support it wasn't even close with Talarico. It's not even worth mentioning because Jasmine had so much of it. And so, you know, the very clear situation that was going to develop when you looked at James Talarico's Latino and Hispanic support, he had a lot of it. He had a lot more than Jasmine Crockett had. And so because of that, people are now blaming Latinos, and by people, again, it's the Black Latino civil war that's happening in the social media street.
Man, this is getting real convoluted. This is very convoluted, man. Like Jemele Hill, pick a hill to die on here. You say you want to run uphill? Well, it's all downhill from here. Because what you're saying basically is that this war that you're talking about is being waged by Black people upset about Jasmine losing, right? And that's what you're saying. Well, just say that. Won't you say it? You won't. It's like you don't want to say it because you have to frame Black people as being the aggressor because they're the ones that lost something, right? Why would Latinos be upset with Black people for them not voting for Jasmine Crockett if they're the ones who didn't vote for Jasmine Crockett? And then you say, well, Jasmine, she had the Black vote, and that's who her base was. So what's the problem? You got what you wanted. You get what you paid for, right? What am I misunderstanding about this except, I know, gaslighting. And look, folks, I know you're probably tired of hearing about Jasmine Crockett's loss. I'm just saying, fam, this is what it's come to. A fake war over a Senate race that will more than likely, 90% chance, the Republicans are going to win anyway.
Jasmine Crockett discussed Latinos who voted for Trump, that she gave an answer that was insulting to Latinos. She was also asked about this when she was on with Jake Tapper.
Last year, around 1 million Latino voters in Texas were voting for Trump. Do they all have slave mentality?
No, and that's not what that said at all, to be clear. It did not say that every Latino has that type of mentality.
No, but the ones that vote for
Trump was saying every Mexican from Mexico isn't a rapist. But see, it's different. You're more generous when it comes to people on the Democratic side.
Or people who believe in strong or Trump's immigration policies.
So I don't believe that the people that voted for Trump believe in what they're actually getting. That is number one. What Trump said is that he was going to kick out the bad guys. And that's what I was talking about. I've been down to the border. I've been down to South Texas. I've campaigned down there. And so I am talking about exactly what was going on when I was down there on behalf of the Beto campaign. In fact, when he was running for governor, I was sent as a surrogate. And I said, talk to me about what is going on. Why is it that they believe that they can win Latinos down here? Like, I don't understand what's happening. And there were people that were saying
Jasmine Crockett lost the primary because of Democratic votes, not because of Republican votes. So I don't even know what we're talking about here if you're talking about Trump supporters or Trump voters. Trump voters are not Democrat voters, all right, not by and large, okay? So the Texas Senate primary for the Democratic Party was a fight over Democratic votes, vote blue anywho's, and those people that would vote Democrat. Those Democrats, white and Latino, largely rejected Jasmine Crockett. Why'd that happen? You can't say they're Trumpers because they're going to probably go vote any Republican ticket, right? So what are we talking about, Jemele Hill?
There are Latinos who feel like they did it the right way, and because they did it the right way, they're trying to pull up the ladder for everybody else and say, hey, yeah, we did it the right way. We did it the way that, because what they're really saying is we did it the way the white people told us to do it. And because we did it, we want our gold star. We want gold star from our.
I'm confused, fam. It's white to go get a license. It's white to go through the border checkpoints at the appropriate place, to file paperwork, to go through the process. That's white. To not go through the legal means in which America's on the books, the laws say is the way you do something legally, that's considered to be a sellout. That's considered to be white supremacists. But to come in and just bogart your way in, that's considered what? To be progressive. Yeah, that's going to be a problem for a lot of people, man, because a lot of people did come through the right way, and they got a problem with people who don't. Let's keep going. See why people say the progressives are racist?
And because you guys may have come a different way.
No, not different. Not different. Not different. Not different. Legally. The legal way to come in is you can break in the back door and jump through a window, or you can come through the front door with your license or your ID and someone lets you in. Yeah, you just make it seem like it's just, you just come in a different way. So that's not how things work. At least that's. Look, I promise we're going to get through this clip. It's just that I have to correct her at certain points, because if not, I may forget later. This is all being done in real time. Let me try to let her get through. It's just a contradiction upon contradiction. This is what the Jemele Hill people are like. This is it.
We had to do all this to get to this point and to get this close. I need y'all to do the same thing. And my thing is, listen, they get here how they get here. Okay? Why you doing the work of somebody that don't respect you anyway? I mean, it's like, what? White supremacy, if you guys haven't figured it out by now, white supremacy doesn't need any help. They don't need assistance. They don't need foot soldiers. A lot of y'all weren't even recruited and just decided to join the movement. They don't need new recruits. So why are you doing the work for them? Why are you carrying the water? It's just, why? For the mythical prize of.
Why are you carrying water? That's a good question. Why is Jemele Hill carrying the water for the Democratic Party? Why is she championing for undocumented people to be coming into the country? And why are you assuming that Black Americans who have a whole lot of things, a whole plethora of issues that we need to deal with for our communities, why will we be overly entertaining this and behind a push to bring more people into the country and basically partake of the resources that are already fragilely allocated in our communities for us? Why would we want that, Jemele Hill? Why do you want it? My understanding is that Jemele Hill is from a family of drug addicts. I cannot imagine that being a very well-off situation where there was always a lot of food and a lot of privileged living and luxuries afoot. Cannot imagine it if you had a mother and a father that was strung out on drugs. So I'm thinking, a little bit about struggle. Why would you think that other Americans who are struggling, whether they be Latino, Black, or white, regardless, there are people struggling of all colors and races and backgrounds, religions, genders, orientations, why would they want more people coming directly to consume or take a part in the resources that we've been paying into our entire lives? Why would we want that? And why do you want that? Why are you advocating for that? Why not deal with the issues of the people that we already have in the country that are suffering? Why do you need to import new people? If you want to care about humanity and displacement and people being unhoused or homeless, why not just deal with our people here? There's a lot of people here that could use your advocacy. Why are you preoccupied with another group of people from another country? I just don't get it. I would love to have her answer that question. You know, you're welcome to come on the channel anytime you want, Ms. Hill. I'd love to hear your retort to this. Let's let her finish up, and then we're going to talk about some differences in these two candidates, because I want to save us from having this war. I haven't been able to save us from fighting with the Africans, the African immigrants and the Black Americans. Haven't been able to stop that war. But let me see if I can stop the Latino versus Black war that Jemele Hill says is brewing in the internet streets.
Being elevated by a certain group that will make you feel more American. Because we all know in this country, we have associated being American and what a patriot is with, frankly, being white. And so you feel like if you're closer to that, then you're closer to whatever is the identity and the feel and the look of what somebody is supposed to be.
Jesus Christ, man. She's talking to Democrats. Hey, look, fine. You want to say the Democrats are racist? I agree, they are. Particularly progressives. Progressives are very racist. That's been my experience. Not all of them, of course. You can't ever include all of anything, right? There's always exceptions. It may not even be most, but there is a lot of racism in both parties. That's the way I see it. That's the reality of my experience. But let's talk about this. You know, all of this is on the backdrop of one political race. Jemele Hill is eviscerating Democrats who did not vote for Jasmine Crockett as if the only reason why they could possibly not want her is she's a Black woman. It could not be anything else. I will never say that that's not an issue or a consideration, as is if you're a male or a female, as is if you are from the Midwest or from the East Coast or from the West Coast, if you are coming for money or not, if you have the best usage of the Queen's English, or if you speak in African-American verbal dialect, or, you know, it's many, many things go into people's biases, okay? So I'm not going to take it off the table, but I would say there are other reasons why. Even she pointed out, Jasmine Crockett saying that Latinos are slaves, probably not, they have slave mentality, is probably not the best way to court votes. Shaming voters rarely works. Even as much as Black America loves Obama, they really came at him pretty hard when he seemed like he was shaming people who didn't want to support Kamala Harris. So what makes you think she could come in here and do that with Latinos who wish she hasn't done so either at all? I don't get it. Isn't it enough to say something really dumb that is seen as being diminutive, a slander or a slam or a diss? Isn't that enough not to get someone's vote? It is. In any other world, it's enough. Just Jasmine Crockett speaking out of school, slamming half of her electorate, that's enough to lose an election. But let's go on to this James Talarico and Jasmine Crockett thing. I want to do my best to stop a war between Blacks and Latinos. First of all, Jasmine Crockett was much more in support of immigration, open borders, and abolishing ICE. She was a much more fierce on that side of the ball than Talarico. Yes, Talarico does believe in immigration. He supports immigration, but he used metaphors that were a lot softer. He said we put up a welcome mat, but we also have security. We got to have security, so we want people to come in, but we got to have them to be secure. We got to vet them. He used that type of language. Still supports it in policy, but it was different. So I don't know if Jemele Hill knows this, but a lot of Americans agree. They disagree with Trump's DHS, Kristi Noem's handling where white people got killed by ICE agents. They disagree with that tactic, but overall, according to my research and many of the latest polling, they think that Trump does better on immigration than Democrats. That's crazy, right? So they don't like when people get killed, obviously, but they trust Trump more than they trust Democrats on the issue. Talarico performed strongly in Latino communities, primarily because he invested in the advertising in order to do so. He put a lot of money into those districts that were heavy Latino. Jasmine Crockett, she was outspent 5-1. Maybe she didn't have the money to do it, but she also did not make the amount of presence. Doesn't cost you money to be a place, to go a place, okay? She spent a lot of time doing town halls in black areas. Not so much in Latino communities where she needed to get the votes. She also had a faith-based tone that was, I don't know, more palatable to a lot of religious, faith-based people, as opposed to Crockett, who dropped F-bombs with vigor. You know what I'm saying? Who was off the charts with, like, she kind of started the wave of people dropping F-bombs and being very crass with their language about Trump and about Republicans. And what do you think happens? Well, you know, some people will be turned off. You got to imagine that. There's going to be an upside. One of the problems with that upside is those people, I guess there's only so far you can go. And you got to maintain that. Talarico was on the other side of the spectrum. Very similar in policies, the tone matters, particularly when one is dropping F-bombs and saying Trump ain't shit, and the other person is speaking in parables from the Bible. So it may look like when you just look at policy, hey, what's the difference? It's gotta be race. Yeah, but the style matters when one person's a Sunday school teacher, literally, and the other person is cursing like a sailor, talking mad shit, and doing the Kendrick Lamar dance in the Capitol. Black America is not going to war with Latino Americans. Latino Americans are not going to war about a race in a Democratic primary. Most people don't even know who James Talarico is. There's no war. Black people that feel like they were robbed out of Jasmine Crockett, they cannot point to a policy that Jasmine Crockett supported that Talarico doesn't. So what were you really robbed of? The identity politics flavor of the month. That's really what this comes down to. And I'm sorry, you don't get to win them all. I'm sorry, you don't get what you want, you get what you paid for. And the fact that all this money that Jasmine Crockett says she was able to raise, it did not raise. I believe that the Democratic Party wanted Jasmine Crockett gone. I think that Jasmine Crockett has not accumulated a lot of friends in Washington. I think that many people from, I think as high up as Obama, are not impressed with her ability or her style, right? And just because you look black, just because you are black, just because you have certain songs on your playlist, does that mean that you are supportive and actually has a politics that brings out black people that wouldn't normally vote? She did really well with those black Americans that voted in Texas. The problem is she didn't do so good with people that didn't vote. It's a primary. She did good, not good enough to win. Many people felt that Jasmine Crockett was campaigning against Donald Trump for the first half of this race. And I don't know if you realize this or not, but Trump was not running for the Texas Senate.